Welcome to Spotlight on Frazee. I'm your host, Hank Ludke, and I'm here today with Ed Musilevich. Hi, Ed.
Hi. How you doing, Hank?
Tremendous. And Phil Dahl.
Hey, nice to see you.
And these gentlemen are from the Becker County Soil and Water Conservation District. And we're here at the Brink Lake Restoration Project, just a mile west of Frazee. A beautiful area. And I'll talk with Ed here a little bit. Well, who would like to talk about the history? Would that be you? I guess we'll let Phil talk a little bit about the history here. Go ahead, Phil.
Well, this was a lake that was ditched and drained in about 1915. They established a county ditch to drain the land for agriculture. It wasn't, as far as agriculture, it wasn't very successful. The land was just too wet to produce anything. So it stayed in a kind of a drained state, but still unproductive for even pasture or hayland. Until about 2008, we started working with the landowners out here to see if there was interest in restoring the lake, and they were. So we brought to their attention some easement options with Reinvest in Minnesota and the Wetland Reserve Program, state-federal partnership for easements on private land to restore wetlands and water quality and migratory bird habitat. They applied and were successful, and then in 2013 we started working on restoring the lake by physically blocking the ditch, and we worked with the county and the township to actually legally abandon the county ditch system so that it could be restored, and engineering was provided by the Minnesota Board of Water and Soil Resources, Mr. Tom Wenzel and Mr. Bruce Wilkin.
Bowser,
yeah. Yep. And what else am I missing? The NRCS, SWCD locally.
Yeah, and the landowners too. I mean, without the 5 landowners that wanted to do this project, it wouldn't have gotten done. I think the beauty of this and the programs that Phil had talked about is the land is still owned by the people that enrolled into the easement. It's still private land. They control access to it. They still get the privilege of paying property taxes on it and things like that. It is still on the tax rolls. There is, like Phil had mentioned, conservation easements through the state and federal, which limit the types of activities that they can do on it. We are doing some prairie restorations out here, Phil. What, about 75 acres of prairie?
Yes, along with the lake's about 200 acres in size. Surrounding the lake, there's some buffers, grassland, upland that we're restoring to more native vegetation. Some of it just got seeded a couple weeks ago, and it's already germinating and growing. We planted 25 to 30 species of grasses and flowers. We added a lot of milkweed for bees and butterflies, and there's some volunteer milkweed already attracting a lot of monarchs. But those will be managed as open grassland in the future for anything that wants to enjoy them, maybe specifically migratory birds, songbirds, ducks. The lake itself is already producing a lot of geese, and I've seen ringbills, wood ducks, mallards, teal, swans. There's sandhill cranes that nest out here and have been for a number of years. So all those things will continue to use the lake. So it's really enjoyable to see those things.
Well, to me, it seems like a win-win situation for everybody in the area, and the people too.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful site out here, and Phil talks about the 200-acre lake restoration, but there are also a number of small little depressional wetlands that were restored last year too. I think right around 15 or 16 that were restored north of the lake. They were filled in back in the 1950s. If you look at some of the old historic aerial photos, that's how we identify. That's how Phil identified them. Was looking at some of the older photos, we could see that there were wetlands there that had been filled in during that time period, and so the sediment was removed from them, and they're holding water. Those are going to be tremendous brood habitat and courtship areas for different species of water birds and waterfowl. Some of the other things that we're doing up on the north end, there's a lot of wildflowers that are getting restored, and one of the landowners, we're doing some limited grazing on part of the easement to manage the area to try to get some additional wildflowers and prairie established out there.
And right now we're going to take a break. Welcome back. We stopped because Amtrak was coming through, and they're about 8 hours late today. So, but that's okay. Go on now.
Yeah, I was just mentioning about the grazing. There's a limited amount of grazing that's going on. If the landowners are interested in using that as part of their operation, and if it fits in, especially with any of the easements that we have, we certainly can do that type of grazing or some haying areas that need it for management of the wildlife habitat. And so that's another win-win for the landowners and for everybody.
Well, and we look at the area here with this buffer on this side of the city and the Fisher Century Farm on the other side of the city. We're slowly developing corridors and buffer areas around populations so that we can live with all of the other critters that we have around here. And right now I'm standing here and I'm listening to the birds, the breeze. I'm smelling the plants. It's phenomenal that we have this type of area here. Any parting comments, Phil?
Just hats off to the 5 landowners out here. Without their enthusiasm and cooperation, this just doesn't happen. So, it starts with them, and that's where the credit is due. So.
Great, and so it's being Minnesota friendly, and but not just friendly to people, but the environment.
That's right. That's absolutely right, Hank. And the landowners are doing a great job out here. They still own the land, and they can still enjoy the land. If you ask permission, if you want to go out here, to ask permission.
That's another train in case you out there in TV3 land can't hear it.
Just see if, it is their land and they still control access to it. So if you want to come out and enjoy it, you just ask them and see if they'll provide you permission. So.
Well, it's a great project, guys, and I appreciate you being on the program.
Thanks, Hank.
You bet. And Phil, thank you.
Thank you, Hank.
And with that, we'll be back next week for another segment of Spotlight on Frazee. So remember, pet your dog, hug the kids, kiss the wife, and wave at the neighbors. We'll see you then.